Hello everyone and welcome back to round 14 of our F1 Championship Edition career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here, returning to the Turkish Grand Prix at Istanbul Park. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live a few days ago, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out, because finally, on the hardest difficulty, on what in my opinion is the hardest Formula 1 game, we got our first ever victory. Yes, admittedly it wasn't the Hungaroring, which one of the AI's worst tracks inside the game, but it leapfrogs us up into 10th place overall in the Drivers' World Championship. Giancarlo Fisichella currently leads the way, just 1 point ahead of Michael Schumacher. Felipe Massa also still in that fight at the top, with Alonso and Raikkonen needing a bit of a miracle at this stage if they want to try and keep in the battle as well. Red Bull, though, of course, with that victory as well, we have leapfrogged the team, I believe, up into 6th place overall. Yeah, 4 points ahead of BMW Sauber. I think getting to Toyota by the end of the year might be slightly optimistic, as Ferrari still have a 10-point lead over Renault right now as well. Of course, if you're new, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. We're trying to hit 7k subs on the channel before F1 25 comes out. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to coming back to Istanbul this weekend, finally on the wheel. So let's get out there and let's hopefully get some more points.
What a prospect we have here today. The wonderful Istanbul Park, with its incredible Turn 8, plays host to today's qualifying session.
Well, it always feels like on this game, when you come out for the highest of highs, you often dip towards the lowest of lows. I'm not saying that I think this weekend is going to be really bad for us, but we're certainly not going to be anywhere near as competitive as we were last weekend. Istanbul is one of those circuits where the AI are quick, but not like impossibly quick, it feels like, inside this game. So I think it's going to be a session where we try and make Q2, we just try and get to the checkered flag, a bit like Hockenheim a couple of weeks back, if you guys remember that race as well. But Turn 8, this complex of corners, so much more fun on a wheel. You can really kind of start to get a bit of precision in there. But yeah, obviously heading out straight into Q1 though, like I said, the goal is just to make Q2 first and foremost, because even that might be a bit of a challenge. Normally we have got one car in the way as we start our first lap. Oh, that's not the line I need. Into turn 1. Yep, that's... I don't think I can blame the other car for that. I think that was all my own doing. Not the ideal way to kickstart our first qualifying run, so we'll have to go again. Well, I think this is Scott Speed then, just in front of me in his Toro Rosso, so I'm sure the team will be screaming down the radio at him for him to move out of the way, as we'll get around him. Oh, and Felipe Massa there, really tried to give us a bit of a squeeze as well. No idea what's going on, but immediately 4 seconds up in Sector 1. That's probably good considering I haven't spam. I'm aiming for 29s in this session. Coulthard's done a 1 minute 30 flat, so let's hopefully try and beat him. As what on earth is going on? Why are they having a tea party on the apex of one of the fastest corners in the sport? Well, only 6.5 minutes on the clock then, and still this circuit feels very, very congested. Only with a 15-minute session and 22 cars, you really kind of get an appreciation for just how busy Q1 seems to be on this game. Definitely much better than modern Formula 1 games where the AI all kind of just go out in 2 batches. How is a 20-year-old game better at kind of simulating a session than the modern F1 offerings? Oh no, we got more AI in the way. Ugh, that's not the line I needed anyway. Don't lose it. Just try and drift it through the exit of the corner there, as I believe it might be Felipe Massa right up my trumpet as well. Currently fastest. He always used to love this venue. I think he won here 3 times in a row during Istanbul Park's short Formula 1 spell. Of course, before it returned in 2020 and 2021. But here comes the Ferrari then. Like I said, I don't know for sure. I think it's Massa that's just up behind me, but so far this lap hasn't been anything particularly special. It's actually Michael Schumacher then. Try to have a look around the outside. Come on, lads, move!
Not bad at all.
So try and get the power down out of the final corner. Hopefully we'll get a little bit of slipstream, and I don't think this time is going to be enough to safely see us through into Q2. 31.1 puts us right on the cusp. Oh, no, come on. We haven't got enough fuel to go back in, come back out again. So we have either got to hope that nobody else can improve, or somehow we can find a bit more time. It is a frantic qualifying session here, and we are bottling it. We were 2/10 up in Sector 1. We are going to be about 1.2 seconds up in Sector 2. So surely, as long as we don't mess up these final couple of corners, we are going to be down under the 90-second mark. Like I said, I'm not expecting to kind of be fighting for wins again around this venue. I think Shanghai is probably our other chance to win a race this season. So try and put the power down, though. Hopefully going to put us into safety right at the end of the session. 2 minutes left on the clock. We are going to run a 29-1. Puts us P10 and puts Villeneuve right on the cusp. Well, there we are then. It was just your typical 6 out in Q1, and we didn't actually need to do that improvement right at the end of the session, but, you know, I'm not going to complain about finding another 2 seconds there. Both Toro Rossos, both Midlands, and both Super Aguris out in Q1. We might just have the pace for Q3. Well, we've let everybody then try and get a time on the board out in Q2, so at least we kind of know what times we're aiming for. Nico Rosberg on a 29.7 is currently the cut-off time. Fernando Alonso fastest though, so Renault look very, very quick this weekend. I am intrigued to see that battle play out in these final 5 races. But could Fisichella do the impossible? Well, again, I'm not sure we're going to have time to kind of do our in-lap, put more fuel in the car, and get back out onto the circuit again, so this lap might have to be the one for us. We're a couple of tenths down by the end of Sector 2 on what I was able to do in Q1. Jenson Button on a 129.2. So if we can just get close to him, then I'll be very, very happy. Yeah, by the time we get back round to the pits, it'll be 3.5 minutes. Takes about 1.5 minutes to get fuel in the car and 1.5 minutes to get back out there. 28.6 though. Where did we find that time through Sector 3? Well, there we go then. 1.1 seconds quicker than David Coulthard. Around this circuit, I was not expecting that. That lap time really did come out of nowhere at the end of Q2, but we've made Q3 again. I doubt we're going to be on pole today. Last weekend out, yeah, we were prepared to risk it. We were prepared to run a little bit less on fuel to try and get the car right up towards the front of the order. That's not going to happen today, whether I nail the lap time or not. Ferrari and Renault even. Oh, how times have changed. One thing remains a constant, though, is that Ferrari are fighting up towards the front. But yeah, we've just loaded the car up with fuel. I'm going to try and get 1 lap on the board, 1 quick, consistent lap time here. And kind of where we end up is where we end up. Immediately, you notice the understeer through turn 1. Oh, come on, no. Yeah, that seems about right. Just that curb, man, immediately spits you out. And, well, I think that's going to be our qualifying over. P10 on the grid here in Istanbul.
We're coming to you live from Istanbul Park for this year's Turkish Grand Prix. Istanbul Park is situated in the Asian Hills on the outskirts of the capital. Though fairly new to the Formula 1 calendar, with the first Grand Prix stage here in 2005, the circuit has already achieved some notoriety. Spa has its Eau Rouge. Istanbul has turn 8, considered by some to be the toughest turn in Formula 1. It's one of those corners where you really need to commit yourself, but overcommit and it's likely you'll come a cropper. Pretty much perfect weather conditions for racing here today, so we should see some very competitive lap times during this race. Giancarlo Fisichella will start from pole. Second on the grid is Felipe Massa. They're followed by Fernando Alonso in third. Michael Schumacher is next. Montoya takes fifth. Kimi Raikkonen is next to him in sixth. Ralf Schumacher is seventh. Jarno Trulli occupies 8th on the grid.
Well, yeah, looking at the times at the end of qualifying then, I don't think we could have... We might have beaten Rubens Barrichello, because I think he was on like a 1:30.9, but apart from that, the others just a bit too competitive there right at the end of that session, but, you know, not too worried. You know, we still ended up in Q3, we still out-qualified DC again, and maybe, just maybe, we can get #1 driver status by the end of the year. That corner, though, is going to be the danger one today. You just get no feel over what the back end is doing, but Jenson Button as well, starting behind us. He will look to be quite quick in this race.
The temperature's nice and high. But notice on the computer you've let them drop a little, and that can easily affect your getaway from the lights.
Yep, I know what I'm doing, engineer. But yeah, Fisichella, though, taking pole position. Is this finally going to be the year he or anybody else can stop Michael Schumacher? Massa, like we said, he loves this place, joining the Italian on the front row. So, yeah, all eyes, of course, will be on those three when we head to Monza next time.
You know the drill by now. Here we go. Go, go, go!
Oh, lightning launch there, then. Not going to complain. Straight up past a couple of drivers into T1.
There's Michael Schumacher. Here they come into the first turn.
just getting a little bit pinched out through that first apex from Ralf Schumacher, but don't blame him for trying to defend there, as this might be the only game where I can reliably get good starts. It would appear as though Ralf very, very slow in through the S's, so we will try and go around the outside maybe. I don't think there was any contact. We will get around him then and up into P7. Michael Schumacher there having a bit of a terrible start. Will drop down behind Juan Pablo Montoya, which won't help his World Championship hopes, as I believe Fisichella still leading away, as I have no idea how we've just outbroken Raikkonen there, but we almost completely bottle it on the exit. Well, that's been a bit of a scary lap one, and we're only halfway around it, but we've stayed out of trouble. Raikkonen, okay. I love that. Absolutely love that. How on earth can the AI carry that much more speed through there than me? That's pretty much what I've been doing throughout the entirety of qualifying, and Raikkonen and I think that was Schumacher, wasn't it? Suddenly had about 1,000 miles an hour behind them. We got oiled down though to make our way out onto the next straight. No idea who that is breaking down. I believe that's Mark Webber. This is going to be our first casualty out of the afternoon. But James Allen seems to have gone silent on us as well, so that's not ideal. But I seem to end up basically last every single time we come here by the end of lap one, so yeah, we've got a lot of work to do.
With the first lap completed, the field looks like this. Fisichella leads, Massa is second, Alonso third, Montoya fourth. He's up from fifth, Michael Schumacher fifth. One place down from his grid position, Raikkonen sixth, Trilli seventh, and Barrichello is in eighth.
The AI really slow through this section of the circuit, so we will try and make up some moves as best as we can around the outside of 1 and 2 there through the first few corners. Of course, yeah, we need to try and move our way back up as quickly as we can whilst the field remains bunched up, but how can they be so quick through turn 8 yet so slow through here? Let's have a look then to see what Christian Albers is able to do in that sorry, it's Sato, isn't it, just in front of me? Yeah, see, we can barely keep up with the back markers through that section of corners, so make it make sense, F1 Championship Edition. Studio Liverpool need to bring a patch to this game desperately soon. Yeah, that seems about right. Why is he braking on the exit there? We've picked up a tiny bit of front wing damage. That shouldn't cost us too much, though, as I believe it was Sato, wasn't it, last year, that we completely ran into the back of down at this hairpin, so I don't want to repeat that. If we can avoid it, to the inside we'll go. And there we go. We're back past all of the back marker traffic. Here we go then. Jacques Villeneuve. Again, we'll try and capitalise where the AI is so slow through this first sector. Can we get around the outside? Oh, he's going to really squeeze me. And Villeneuve might have put up the biggest defence into that hairpin. Yes, I'm well aware of that. Thank you, engineer. Luizzi up next then. So hopefully the team will be on the radio over to Toro Rosso, just telling him to let me by when I get a little bit closer. But yeah, we're definitely a little bit more competitive through that turn 8. It's just on cold tyres, lap 1, heavy fuel. The AI, no qualms about being brave out of there, but I reckon still we could get back to, you know, your Barrichellos and your Schumachers in this race, but only time will tell. Coulthard only running up in P13, so again, another quiet weekend for our teammate. So can we have a look from a long way back on Luizzi? Yes, we can. Come on then, David Coulthard. Let's see if we can try and get a run on our teammate. Of course, had some good battles with him back at Hockenheim a few races ago, and let's see what his speed performance is like through this section. So I think, to be honest, we probably could basically match the line our teammate's doing, and even on a wheel, it's kind of very, very difficult to kind of find that sweet spot through there. This corner as well, we're really struggling with, unless I can find an apex nice and early, avoid the bump, and there we go. We'll move past DC and back up then into 13th place. I'm sure our teammate will try and get a run on me. But could we try and do what we did to Luizzi now on Nico Rosberg? The AI really do like to brake early here. Yes, we will. How crazy is that from 6/10 back? Or Ralf Schumacher then, apparently one of my arch nemesis so far this weekend. If you guys have been watching the 2003 career mode, Ralf likes to cause a bit of havoc there. Of course, in that series he's in a Jordan, this one a Toyota. But either way, we're going past him, almost back into the points already. Pace does feel good early on. I got very scared then for just a second that we were going to get rain in this GP. But apparently it's not going to hit till after the race.
Fastest lap of the race so far.
I've only only just realised Nick Heidfeld is running up in P9. He is doing bits in that BMW. Well, as we get towards half distance then, starting to see a few cars into the pit lane, but our tyres are really, really struggling here. This place can be a bit of a tyre killer, so I think everybody just trying to look after their four tyres as best as they can. But we are still closing in on Heidfeld. Button and, I believe, Montoya both pit. Oh, I mean, look at that. The understeer can be chronic. Well, I've actually requested to the team that we dive into the pits at the end of this lap. Might leave us with a bit more pain in the second half of the race. But I'm just worried that we're going to make a mistake if I try and stay on these tyres much longer. As Heidfeld then also into the pit lane. Oh, that is horrible. And why is there such a huge bump on pit lane entry then, as we will try and close in on Heidfeld? Right, find my buttons. We need to try and get a good pit stop here. I don't expect us to jump Heidfeld or anything like that. I'm also hoping the team don't change the wing, because it has not cost us any pace so far in this race. Oh, that was not good. Press that one. It's okay. Oh, 11.5 seconds. Not fantastic. Really had to concentrate there and still didn't do a particularly good job with it. So Heidfeld's probably put a good couple of seconds on me. I think the AI average about 9-second pit stops here. And then this place has the most brutal pit exit in the world. You look at a white line, it just invalidates. Come on, let's keep pushing on towards Heidfeld then. I reckon we can definitely still get a point or two. Oh, we've got someone gone. Someone's dropped out of the race. I believe that. Oh, that's Schumacher. Ralf Schumacher then, who was directly behind me. Seems to be our second retirement of the afternoon, so we're going to have to watch for the oil next lap. Also going to have to watch for my own driving style, as I just am starting to think Button, terrible qualifying for him yesterday, but he has got the race pace in that BAR. Well, there you go then. It is your big four teams inside your top 8 right now, so unless one of them has issues, don't kind of see anybody else getting a look in. Jarno Trulli's still in 9th place, but yeah, Barrichello has jumped him by a good kind of 4 seconds here, so are we going to be able to close in on Jarno towards the end? I doubt it. As long as we can get past Heidfeld, I think that'll be a pretty good race, but like I said heading into the weekend, I feel like we're slightly better than the AI, but not enough that you can kind of make a big difference like we could last weekend. Well, but when you consider where we were on lap 1, I think to recover this well so far, we can be pretty happy with here. Closing in on Nick Heidfeld, trying to move back up into the top 10. I think we are still running quicker laps than Button right now, but just not quite enough quicker that I think we've got a fair chance at him. Maybe we can get Jarno Trulli, though, before the end of this race. We have just got to be careful with the tyres there. I was trying to get the power down out of that final turn. Try and get a little bit closer to Quick Nick, as he was known. I don't think we're going to be able to do anything back into turn 1. But it's through this first sector we really do fly along there. Gap to Jarno Trulli down to about 3 seconds. But you can see the gap to Button still probably up at about 5.5, 6. This is where we're really, really quick, though, against the AI, where we have been strong all weekend. We want to try and get past Heidfeld, obviously, before the turn 8 section. So Heidfeld there, I think, want to try and cover the inside line. We'll drift out wide, and we will say thank you very much. Gap to Button still 6.5, so yeah, I think unless one of them blows up at the front, points aren't going to happen today, sadly. 2 laps remaining then. We have rocked up to the back of Jarno Trulli, and again, we want to try and get around him before we get into that Turkey section. You can just see AI, they really do struggle to put the power down out of there. But Button, despite the fact we've been setting some blistering lap times, still not really taking much out of him. The only hope I have is that maybe that Super Aguri that has just started getting lapped somehow loses that much ground in the final lap of this race, but even then he'd have to hold up Jensen quite a lot. And of course Super Aguri is their sister time, so I'm not optimistic that's going to happen. Anyway though, I believe it's Felipe Massa round in the final corner to start the last lap here. Again, he loves this circuit, won here 3 times back-to-back IRL. He might do it today.
Has begun his last lap. Alonso is behind him in 2nd place.
Last lap, Felipe Massa looks like he could win it.
Top 2 in the World Championship then, struggling against their teammates today, so it will allow both Alonso and Massa to close back in.
Drivers at the moment are Massa is first, Alonso is second. Fisichella third. Fourth, Michael Schumacher. Montoya fifth. Raikkonen sixth. Barrichello is seventh. And Button eighth.
Well, yeah, as you can see as well, Button's actually had the pace over Rubens Barrichello throughout a lot of this race as well. But for us, those 4 teams in front, those are the 4 we want to be trying to sign with if we think we can win a World Championship on this game. Yes, Ferrari or Renault would make our life a whole lot easier. But McLaren and BAR, it's not impossible inside this game either. But that's exactly what we want to be doing. And results like this today where we can finish best of the rest, even on a circuit where I thought we might struggle a bit more. To be honest, as always, I'm just happy to get to the checkered flag inside this game as well. So don't think we can complain about the result today. I think had we not been taken out lap 1, points definitely would have been possible. But a P9 finish, hopefully, isn't going to be too bad. Don't bottle it now. Through the final corner, though, Felipe Massa is going to take the victory. And I believe with that, we'll be back at the top of the World Championship ahead of Alonso.
Past the checkered flag for the maximum 10 points and top spot on the podium. Alonso should hang on to finish second.
There we go, making our way through the hairpins there, just relying on a bit of reliability, bad luck for the top runners, and that just has not happened today. P9 in the end from 10th on the grid, despite the lap 1 crash. I'm honestly happy with that.
There we have it, an amazing Turkish Grand Prix, and what a circuit. This is proving to be as unpredictable as ever. I can tell you, I was standing down at turn 8 during Friday practice, watching the cars make those 4 consecutive high-speed turns, and I promise you it was a sight to behold. I can recommend it to anyone who visits here. Just brilliant. In 2 weeks' time, we travel to northern Italy, to Monza, where you can bet your house there will be a huge presence of fans for Ferrari. We've had a wonderful time here in Istanbul, and we hope you have too. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon for the Italian Grand Prix.
Well, there we go then. Only Ralf Schumacher and Mark Webber retiring from this race, but really wasn't a particularly attrition-based event there. Ide, the only driver to go 1 lap down as well. But yeah, there we go. Fisichella still leads the way, 1 ahead of Massa, 2 ahead of Michael Schumacher. So it is all still to play for in the Drivers' Championship. Alonso, he basically needs to win the last 4 Grand Prix and hope things happen to the other 3 there to give himself a fair shot. Still 10th place overall for us, 6 points back from Jarno Trulli. Would have been nice to close in on him just a little bit more. Constructors-wise, Ferrari with an 11-point buffer still. McLaren comfortably ahead of Honda. Toyota still ahead of us, and BMW Sauber as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll be back very soon at the Temple of Speed for the Italian Grand Prix.